The Catholic Charities of Ingham, Eaton, and Clinton counties are suing the state of Michigan for discrimination.
The federal lawsuit filed on Friday claims Catholic Charities was wrongfully stripped of its state designation because of its views on abortion and birth control. News 10's Riley Connell here in studio now with more details on all of this. Riley?
Yeah, and David, in addition to the state, the lawsuit names other defendants, including Health and Human Services Director Elizabeth Hertel and Mid-State Health Network. Attorneys for Catholic Charities claim that organization coordinated with the state to target its women's treatment services at Cristo Rey Counseling Center. But a Michigan State University legal expert says it might be hard to prove that argument.
No organization should have to choose between its faith and serving the public good. You know, Michigan's position is very stark. Serve women our way or don't serve them at all.
Attorney Ryan Tucker says the state of Michigan discriminated against the Catholic Charities of Ingham, Eaton, and Clinton counties when it stripped the Cristo Rey Counseling Center of its designation as a women's specialty services organization. Losing that title means losing eligibility for federal grant funding.
That's an impossible and an unconstitutional demand, not just for Catholic Charities, but really for every faith-based organization that provides social services in the United States.
In a lawsuit on behalf of Catholic Charities, the Alliance Defending Freedom claims the state and one of its contractors, called the Mid-State Health Network, removed the designation because Catholic Charities would not offer services for abortion, contraception, or gender care. The lawsuit claims the Cristo Rey Center was targeted for its religious affiliation, but Michigan State University professor Heather Johnson says that could be difficult to prove.
Because a policy can change and a service provider that was a service provider could no longer meet their new criteria.
Johnson says she's an advocate for the First Amendment, but there is a gray area when it comes to state-funded programs.
But I think it's different when you start taking public taxpayer funds to provide a service. You've got to provide that service to everyone.
The health department tells me it cannot comment due to pending litigation. I received a similar response from the Mid-State Health Network. Back to you, David.
All right, Riley, thank you. In its lawsuit, Catholic Charities is demanding that its state designation be restored. It is also asking for an injunction barring future discrimination and retaliation.